Hi everyone, it's Katrina from the Alluring Bead Boutique, and I'm back again today to show you guys how to make this adorable little pom-pom flower. In my last video, we did a tutorial showing you guys how to make this cute little brick stitch fan flower. And I hope you really enjoyed that and that you're enjoying learning to make some beaded flowers with me here at the start of the new year. So the same things goes for this video today as we did for the previous one. I'm going to be using some Nymo thread, and today I'm going to be using orange because the flower I'm going to make is orange. And we'll also be using two colors of beads. So I've got some 11-0 delicas here in an opaque squash. And then I just have some 11-0 Tohos in silver-lined hyacinth. And in this one, I'm going to go ahead and make this pom-pom flower the same color and scheme that I used for the original. So when we're using Nymo, remember that you're going to need to stretch that thread. And we'll also I'll be using some microcrystalline wax that I have here in my cute little thread waxer. And I showed you guys how in the last video, and we've talked about this several times before. So go ahead and pre-stretch out about a good wingspan of your thread. Condition your thread with any kind of thread conditioner you use, and meet me back, and we'll get started on this new little flower. So this cute little pom-pom flower is actually made using a form of flat netting, and to start out and make things work really easy, I'm just going to use a stop bead. So I'm going to use one of my 11 round seed beads as a stop bead. And I'm going to leave myself probably about 3 inches or so of tail down here, just so I have something to work with. I don't want anything too awful short. So go ahead and put a stop bead on. So to begin, we're going to pick up 10 of our delicas and 1 seed bead. You could probably get by with using all seed beads for this project. It doesn't really matter, I feel like. And I also feel like you could do the fan flower using round seed beads also, and it would come out just as nice. So choose whichever beads you feel like using, and go ahead and pick up 10 of your main color and then just 1 of your secondary color. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to skip over this last bead we picked up, and we're going to sew back down through the top bead. And this is a fringing technique which we use to create the fan flower. So if you're making all these flowers, then you should be comfortable with going ahead and get started on that. Now the next thing we're going to do is pick up 5 delicas, and we are going to sew back down through the 4th delica from the tail thread. And when we pull this through, we should have 2 sets of 5 beads sitting beside each other, just like this, with 1 delica and 1 11-0 seed bead sitting at the top, just like that, to form a little loop. Now we're going to pick up 1 delica. We're going to skip the next delica and sew through the bottom 2. Just like that. And this is what we wind up with. We should have our little loop of the 2 sets of 5. We should have 1 bead below that, which both threads pass through. We should have 2 delicas sitting by side, and our working thread and tail thread should be exiting from the bottom, just like that. So now what we're going to do is do some netting for the rest of the remainder of our rows. The following steps will be exactly the same. So we're going to pick up 2 delicas, and this is actually row 3, so we'll go up through the little delica we have sticking out there. We'll skip over the 2 and sew through the 1 sticking out. Now from here, we're going to make our loop again. Next, we're going to pick up 7 of our delicas and 1 of our 11 seed beads. Then we're going to sew down through just the top delica, just like this. I'm going to pull that down so that all of the beads sit close together. Then we're going to pick up 5 of our delicas. And at this point, what we're going to do is we are going to sew down through the very last of the 7 delicas we picked up, like this, right here. Not sure why my camera isn't focusing so well. Let me see what I can do. All right, that seems to have adjusted it somewhat. So I've got the 5 on, and you can see that I'm sewing back down through that last delica in that row of 7. And this will get easier as we develop some length to the project. All right, so now we need to pick up 1 delica. And we're going to sew through these 2 delicas here at the bottom. So that this is what we have. Now, from here on out, like I said, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to pick up 2, sew up through the one we have sticking out. Then we're going to pick up 7 delicas and 1 seed bead. We're going to drop those down. We're going to skip over the seed bead and sew down through just that top delica. And if you find that it's easier for you when you're creating the fringes, you can drop that down to the bead mat, hold on to the top bead and pull, and that will bring all your beads in close together. Now we pick up 5 of our main color, and we're going to sew through just that bottom delica in that segment of 7. Just like that. Pick up 1 and sew through the bottom 2 beads. And basically that's all we're going to do until we have completed a number of rows that is divisible by 4. So for this flower, I did 48. Now, what you need to keep in mind is that every time you sew up is a row, and when you sew down is a row. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you will have a total of 24 seed beads sitting at the top of the beadwork, of the flat beadwork. And that's how you'll know when you have completed. So let's go ahead and we'll just do 1 or 2 more, and then I'll send you guys off to complete the rest of it on your own. It's not really that hard to do. We'll pick up 2. We're going to sew up through the 1 delica sticking out. Now we're going to pick up 7 delicas and 1 seed bead. Drop them down. Skip over the seed bead and sew down through, back down through the top delica. Cinch your beads close together. Pick up 5 delicas. And sew down through the last delica on that line of 7. Pick up 1 more delica. Like, if you can see right here how my thread is pulled away just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. Then I'm going to pick up my last delica and sew down through the 2 delicas here at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and keep working until I have 24 accent beads here along the top. And I have sewn down, obviously, till the end of the 48th row. And my working thread will be exiting here at the bottom where my tail thread is. All right, so let's get those done. And I'll meet you guys back and show you how to form this into the flower. Okay, so I have completed the first part of this. I have 48 rows with 24 accent beads along the top. And I have stitched down the last row, and my working thread is exiting here from the bottom of the last 2 delica beads. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how to sew this into a pom-pom flower. So we're exiting from this stack, which is 1. We're going to count over to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to sew up those 2 delica beads here in the 4th row over. I'm going to pull it up, and we are going to sew back down through the very first 2 delicas there again. In essence, what we're doing is we are going to square stitch those beads together. And as we pull it, just go ahead and let the beadwork fold over on itself, just like that. Now we're going to move into position to do that again. So it might be a little bit difficult for you to see. So if you want to turn it this way and see where that 4th row of beads was, you're going to sew up through the next row, which would be the 5th set. Let me see if I can get a little bit better angle here. So we're going to sew up through that 5th set, but just through the 2 delicas. Like that right there. Actually, I'm going back into the 4th set. Let me move over 1. There we go. So I'm going to sew up that 5th row. And I'm going to sew down the 6th row. I'm going to be very careful not to let my thread get caught on my fringe. So now I'm exiting again at the bottom of that 6th set of delica beads. So let me roll this over just a little bit and show you guys. So now what I want to do is I want to find the set of beads on my little roll here closest to this, or where my working thread is exiting. And that is going to be right, these beads right here. So I'm going to sew up through those 2 beads. And then I'm going to sew back down through the beads I started from, which are right here. And as I pull that thread through, I am going to roll the beadwork over again onto itself. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way until I have everything rolled all the way up. So now I'm exiting from the 6th set of beads. I am going to sew up through the 7th. And then down through the 8th. And pardon me for having to get my head at where I can actually see my magnifying set. All right, down through the 8th. Okay, so now that I'm exiting from the 8th, I'm going to bring this roll over, and I'm going to find the set of beads closest to where my working thread is exiting. So my working thread is exiting there, so I'm going to come up through this set of beads right here. Well, I'm under my camera, so there we go. And I want to go through both of those beads. And then I want to come back down through the same 2 beads that I started from, which are these 2. And when I pull, I'm going to pull that roll. Make sure you don't get caught on your fringe. And I'm going to pull that roll over again, just like that. You can see how my little roll's looking pretty nice already. So now I'm exiting from this set of beads. I need to sew through 2 more. So we're going to go up the next set and then down the next. So up and down the next. Making sure that we're only hitting those 2 bottom beads of each row. All right. So now I'm ready to do another roll. And here's my working thread. And I want to find the set of beads closest to that. So that's going to be this bead right here. But when I sew up, make sure I'm only hitting 2. So sew up through those 2 closest on the roll, and then come back down through the 2 beads where my thread is exiting right there. And that's all I'm going to do all the way to the end of my strip. So let's go up the next set of beads. And down the next set of beads. Bring the roll over. And find the 2 beads closest. Which I'm going to choose this set here. If I choose this one here, it's going to make it too tight, so I'm going to go into this set. And then come down through the same 2 beads over here again. Oops, pull my needle off. And that's how I'm going to continue on until I get to the end of the row. So I think you guys have it now. So I'm going to go ahead and rethread my needle and work off camera till I get close to the end. And I'll meet you back. So I've worked my way around the bottom of my little flower here, and I'm going to move my stop bead off. I sewed down and up through the last 2 sets of beads, and my working thread is exiting here from the last little set of delicas. So I'm just going to roll this around and find the closest bead on the flower roll, It's going to be this set here. And then I'm going to make sure I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and sew down through those 2 beads. And then I'm just going to sew up through those beads one more time. I'm going to pull that nice and snug. And I'm going to reinforce that last stitch a couple of times. And just go down and up. Make sure not to catch your fringe. And now we are done. We have this cute little pom-pom flower all finished. So you got a couple of different things you can do here. You can tie these 2 threads together into a knot and move through a few sets of beads before cutting the thread. You can weave each of these threads off by going up and down a few times. Just whichever way you choose to end your thread. All right, guys, so that is it for the second little flower tutorial that we've done. And I've showed you how to make this adorable little pom-pom flower. It's really cute. It's really 3D. Be very easy to sew onto another project or onto a piece of apparel or a purse or something like that. Anything that you wanted, actually. It's really cute. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you are liking these flower tutorials. And the next time I come back, I'm going to show you guys how to make this type of a flower here. All right, folks, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please click like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and head over to the alluringbeadboutique.com to check out some of my tutorials there. And you can always shop for jewelry on alluringjewelry.thealluringbeadboutique.com. All right, guys, thanks for watching and have a great day.